Okay. So it is now 6:40. This is, I believe, the final meeting of the Ad Hoc Bylaws Committee of Community Board 7. And I'm going to read the committee guidelines. So I'm Myrna Calderon, the chair of the Ad Hoc Bylaws Committee. And this is Community Board 7's Bylaws Committee meeting. The agenda is as follows. We are going to review any outstanding changes to the bylaws. I understand that there was some changes that need, or some emphasis that needs to happen. So we will deal with that. And I'm going to take attendance, but first I have to read the committee guidelines. On March 21st, Mayor Adams issued Executive Order 363, extending the state of emergency through April 21st, 2023. Accordingly, boards are able to continue to act under the state of emergency section of the Video Conferencing Law, Chapter 56, Part WW. This allows the board to continue remotely. Minutes and video recording will be made available on our website. If you're calling into the meeting on the conference, controls joining with the landline or cell by calling or dialing up the number. I think we have, do we have that a bit up on the agenda? Should be there. To hear the available commands, enter ** on your phone, *6 to mute or unmute yourself, and *9 to raise your hand. How we'll run this meeting is as follows. Code of conduct for the meetings, penalties and actions. Bronx Community Board 7 has the right to remove and or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threat, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee for a ban of the participant. The amount of time to be objectively determined by the above committee in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If in-person outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities will be summoned. Everyone besides the speaker will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will require committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have questions by pressing the raise hand button on your screen, Zoom, or request to speak through the chat when the chair opens the floor. Members of the public who have joined through the online link will be able to ask questions and make brief statements on the items after each presentation and after the committee has had an opportunity to ask clarifying questions by pressing the raise hand button on your screen or request to speak through the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. The following questions and discussions and public comment portion. The committee will begin their discussions after each presentation agenda items and will conclude with a decision to vote on a recommendation. When the agenda is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. So if there are any questions related to the meeting software or to our process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now or to contact the Deputy District Manager. Thank you very much. And I am going to now take attendance. I see somebody has something in the chat room already. Oh, good evening. Good evening to you. So, so when I call your name, say present. So Myrna Calderon is present. Andrea Leoza. I see you. Are you muted, Andrew? I think you're muted. Okay.
Andrew Leoza present.
Betty Arce. I know she's here. You say present for the record. I haven't seen Victor. Is Victor Saldana on? No, he's not. Victor's not on yet.
No, I don't think he's on.
Barbara Stronser is
Barbara
present,
Strauss is present.
and Yahira Arias is our
Hi,
chair.
present.
Oh, okay. And we also have a member of the public, AJ.
Hi, it's Betty Arce present. Sorry, I'm having problems with this phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave and go on at some point on my computer, so bear with me, okay? I'm listening still. Okay.
Okay, so perfect. We have a full house. So let's get going. We have a couple of things that came up, my understanding, through the executive committee. So we are going to go straight to those topics. Let me just. So so can we pull up the bylaws? Carla? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it is referring to, everybody can see the screen? And basically it's Article 3, Section 4. Is there any way you can make your screen bigger? Is it just mine? Okay, it's a little better. So the question is, I feel it needs the question. Oh, Betty. Okay. Hey, Betty, she's back. Betty, we went straight to the bylaws, and there's a question in Article 3, Section 4 that needs to be clarified. And what and I know you were part of the executive committee. They need clarification on the absences. What is the time frame? It says we usually create an analyzer report as needed, but could be done every month as follows. So they just need clarification how we're going to keep control of the absences. Now, I remember, and Andrew, you can correct me because I sat on a bylaws committee before the last revision that never went through. And at that committee meeting, we all decided that any 3 consecutive absences, whether they were for the board, general board meeting, or your committee meetings, not other committee meetings, but the ones that you're assigned to, would be considered 3 absences. There were no excused absences, because my understanding is people are calling the district manager asking to be excused, and that was changing the bylaws. Of course, the executive board and what's the committee? That's your committee, Andrew, that deals with
Budget personnel and.
budget personnel. Thank you, Betty. That deals with the absences. There's always a leeway, and because if somebody has legitimate reasons why they have not attended, nobody's going to throw them off the board. But there has to be some accountability. And the reason why we felt that at the time, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, was we had committees that could not even meet and could not get agenda items and motions passed, and because they didn't have quorum. So if we don't have quorum at a committee meeting, we cannot do any work. I mean, you can have an unofficial meeting, but it means nothing because
Right.
without quorum, it's not an official meeting. And so this kept happening. So that's why it became so strict that 3 consecutive meetings, whether they be board meetings or committee meetings, still would count towards your absences. And of course, the budget and personnel committee always has the leeway to hear the person out. Nobody ever gets automatically thrown off. So when, like we have a meeting, people, well, why is this person being thrown off? It didn't just happen overnight. They got a letter sent, they had an opportunity to respond. They chose not to respond, and then the executive board has to do their job.
Right.
Because you know, you have a committee that can't function because the person is not showing up. You know, you have two people not showing up to the committee meetings and they can't do any work. So just so everybody understands, we're on the same page here. This is not like nobody takes pleasure in throwing somebody off the board, in other words. Am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, especially when we're already shorthanded. So having said that, okay, so we want clarification. Let's read through that again. It says the DM, because they want the DM, the district manager, to create the attendance report and create attendance report. That's my understanding. Okay.
Just a little
I'm just-
background.
Mhm.
So basically, during the last budget personnel and ethics committee meeting, the committee wanted to send a couple of letters to a couple of board members because they had tallied 3 absences.
Mhm.
However, when those 2 motions went to the executive committee meeting, there were a couple of discrepancies when people, well, you know, the members felt that it wasn't really 3 consecutive meetings, so therefore no warning letters had to be sent. And so it was brought up to our attention that maybe we needed to revise these sections of the bylaws to say, is it going to be a tally for a period of time, those 3 absences, or is it going to be if it's 3 absences consecutively?
Andrew had his hand up.
Yes.
Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah. It's more, my question was, is the screen able to be enlarged? I mean, I'm at a desktop and I cannot read that screen.
Yeah,
I'd like to be able to read the potential changes. Thank you.
Can we make it bigger?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, much better. Okay. So, so the question is, first of all, I think that the district manager should be charged with keeping the attendance. Does anybody have an objection to that?
I don't have an objection, but I'm sorry, Andrew, go ahead. You have the floor. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the process has always been the staff under the direction of the district manager, because they report to the district manager. The staff, the office collects the attendance sheets, the attendance reports from each committee chairperson. The staff, the board, compiles that information, and they pass on that information to the Budget, Personnel, and Ethics Committee. My feeling was, as the chairperson of that committee, that it appeared to me that by the questions being asked by board members, that somehow board members were needing the actual details, like, okay, what meetings did they miss, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I strongly expressed my opinion that the other board members who need that kind of detail perhaps should either attend the committee meetings, or more importantly, probably what we should do as a board is, when we are voting whether we should send letters or not, that we do provide the board members to be 100% transparent with the actual committee meetings and board meetings and executive meetings that we are talking about, as a matter of transparency. And also, look, mistakes are made. People are human. Maybe the attendance sheet submitted was, I don't know, incorrect, or later had to be, there are things that a board member who's potentially not marked present, they were marked absent, maybe they were present, but they didn't know that they were marked absent because they never really saw the attendance sheet. So I just think that we as a board need to be more transparent and provide the information at that time when the vote is being taken, so everybody can see straight up what the attendance records are.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave my comment for later, but I think, who was next? Betty?
No, Barbara.
Barbara, okay.
Okay, I agree with Andrew, and I assumed that the staff was keeping track of the attendance. And, maybe they need to see, the whole board needs to see an attendance sheet periodically, maybe every 3-4 months or whatever. But I agree that for some people, we must put the dates, and it should be done that way.
Wait, Barbara, sorry, so the question, I think the issue wasn't that we didn't keep track, so it's not a staff issue, right? It was mostly questions based on, are people not compliant if they have missed 3 meetings throughout the period where we created the report, or are they not in compliant if they have missed 3 consecutive meetings? And I think that was the question that was raised.
Okay, so I'm going to let's continue with that, the next person, and then I'm going to respond at the end after, because I do remember it was very lengthy when we decided that it was going to be 3 consecutive, because we felt that, if what was happening was people were just not showing up, and then all of a sudden showing up to a meeting in the spring, and nobody saw them for 4 months.
True.
I mean, that's what
Very
really
true.
was happening.
That's exactly what.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, if somebody comes to 2 meetings, they miss 2 meetings, but then they make the next 4 meetings, and then they miss a meeting, they're really attempting to participate. But when you just don't show up for 2 months, 3 months, and without any reason, other than being in the hospital or something, which everybody would understand. And of course, the bylaws allow for leaves of absences. I mean, even so, if you really had an extenuating circumstance, at least this way, that committee would not be relying on you for quorum. So there's all kinds of provisions in the bylaws. So when people, I know it's always the same questions. I've heard the questions, and they tend to think that you're just throwing them off the board because you want to get rid of this person. No. And I know this because I know what Andrew does. They send letters to the individual, and you have an opportunity to respond, and I think, personally, I don't want to know everybody's attendance. I trust the committee chair of that committee to take attendance. And I trust the district manager to confirm the attendance or non-attendance. I don't need to see everybody's attendance. I mean, we get enough email. That's me personally. I don't need to see everybody's attendance. I think I trust the committee. I keep forgetting the name of that committee.
Budget personnel.
Budget and Personnel Committee. I trust them to do their job. I don't need to do their job for them, but that's me personally. So who was next on who?
I am, Betty. So there's just 2 things I want to raise. I agree somewhat with what both Barbara and Andrew are raising. I think we should be very transparent. If it's a question of actually, when the motion comes up, either a backup that says these are the dates or these are the committees that the individual had failed to attend. But I think we also need to bring in the fact that it's that we're making a recommendation. I mean, we're not removing the person because that's done by the borough president, correct? we make a recommendation to the borough president for removal. So I think that we also have to make that very clear. And as you said, Verna, there's like due process. So the individual has the opportunity to respond. Maybe it shouldn't be, we shouldn't present the motion immediately after missing 3 meetings. Maybe what we should be doing is sending a letter, or the committee chair of that, letting the committee chair know your member has missed 3 meetings, or to the board president, the board chair, I'm sorry, to our chair, to contact the individual and say what's going on. Maybe the individual just doesn't realize that they have to, I know that they must know that they must attend these meetings, but maybe just a heads up, like, listen, you are in jeopardy of being recommended for removal. So what is happening? And, otherwise it's going to be recommended that you be removed because you're not attending the meetings, something like that. I think that the chair has to plays a role in it as well, because it's a chair that actually appoints people to the various committees, right?
Yeah, but
Wait, Betty, just a clarification. So budget, personnel, and ethics can issue letter as a committee to remove board members who are not meeting the
Right.
attendance requirements.
Right,
And-
but it's a it's more like it's more of a they do not do the actual, does the budget, does that letter in it of itself imply that the individual is removed? I mean,
Right, so last year, 2 letters were sent to appointed members, and saying that, a motion had been placed on the floor to remove because they had violated the attendance requirements. And the motions moved forward, and the office never received any communications from them, from the members. And so it became, and it was in effect that those 2 board members were no longer.
Right.
yeah,
So
we
what
have removed them in the past. You are correct, without the borough president,
But does it, my question is then, does it go to the borough president or is it just done through just the board does it? I just want to know.
Right, so the board does it after it goes through all the 3 different meetings. So the committee meeting, so budget, personnel, and ethics, and then it goes to the executive, and then eventually the general board meeting. And then we do have to notify the borough president's office saying these 2 board members have been removed. Here's the reasons. And then, all of our records are public, so anybody can see those letters and access that.
Okay, so it's not that the borough president does the removal, it is we notify, it's a notification to the borough president.
Right.
Okay, all right.
To clarify, yes, we as a board have the power to remove by due process any member that violates our bylaws. That is one of the few powers that is given to a board in relationship to members. What I would like to do, once we pass our bylaws, this particular section, I would send it to, I'll work with Carla and the staff to send it to each member so that they know that this is something we're taking very seriously. The Bronx Borough President's taking very seriously. The City of New York is taking very seriously, because we want to move forward with a lot of the things that are happening in our communities. I mean, from the data that I got last week, a lot of people did not apply. So this is a key thing to remind our board members that if their participation means a lot. So,
and another to piggyback on that. In the past, I know we're having trouble getting people to apply for community boards, but in the past, there's been a waiting list of people that wanted to get on community boards.
True.
And they were not chosen, and then you have people that were chosen and just didn't take it seriously, when there were other people that really did want to sit on their local community board and make a difference. So
I would definitely, once we get through the entire bylaws and they're passed, work with the staff to have this particular section highlighted and sent to every board member so that they are aware of what their responsibility is as a member of the board. And if there's issues, let them come to us and explain to us and talk to us so that we know how to maneuver whatever their schedule is, if they can't be in a particular committee, if they're having issues, whatever the case may be. Open up that line of communication so that when it comes down to budget and personnel, everybody's on the same page and know what the attendance records are, why if anyone's absence, a leave of absence, so that we all know and this will not be a major issue for us.
Okay.
So going to that paragraph, where it says, that first paragraph shall include missing 3 consecutive meetings,
Right.
3 sequential meetings,
No, shouldn't be.
or a combination. We're using sequential and consecutive, and they mean different things.
You're right, Betty.
And
I don't know why you say
turn to
sequential.
AJ.
It's 3 consecutive meetings.
Period.
Yeah, it means the same, it means exactly the same thing. You were not,
Not really.
Hold on,
Not
it
really?
actually
it's
Hold
not
on.
the same thing?
No, no.
Okay.
doesn't. So,
Doesn't
3
Okay.
consecutive meetings,
what,
period.
means no interruption.
oh, it's that, okay, so here's, for example, a person decides, you know what? I'm going to attend every single monthly board meeting. If I happen to be on the executive board, I'll attend every single executive board meeting. But you know what, my committee meetings, I'm just gonna go to 2 meetings, skip, go to 1 meeting, go to 2. So if you look in the chat, I think that's what we mean. Missing any 3 sequential meetings. That means in sequence. That means, let's say 1 week there's an executive board you should be at, the next week there's a general board, and the week after that you have a committee meeting. That's 3 sequential meetings you missed. Now, we have to worry about committees. Committees only meet once a month. We don't want people missing 3
Oh, I
committee
see.
meetings 3 months, right? So then the next sentence would be, or any 3 consecutive meetings, which means committee meetings, monthly general board meetings, or
Okay.
executive meetings.
Yes,
You
Well,
see,
I,
that's
remember,
so-
okay, but remember, executive
a little
board
complicated.
members.
If that's what we mean, then we have to say that. If that's not what we mean, then
because it's true, because they could make, you're absolutely correct, because you can make the board meeting and miss all your committee meetings, make the board meeting, miss all your committee meetings. I get it. Yeah, we have to say both. Yeah, we
Right.
do have to say both, because otherwise you can have the same problem again, where they just come to the general board meeting to be seen for whatever reason by the public, they're running for office.
And they don't come to the committee meetings,
Exactly.
which are really very important as
But they're
well.
more, to me, most of the times, the committee meetings are even more important than the board meetings, because that's where the work is getting done. That's where
Exactly.
we're putting in the proposals. That's where we're getting the presentations and, yeah.
Right,
So
right.
you have, I'm sorry, you're absolutely correct. We have to fix that. It has to say that. So Andrew, help us with the wording. You're always good at this. Let's make sure it says exactly what we need.
you know, it's complicated because people may not know. I put in the chat in shorthand to describe something as sequential. You mean to focus on the order. The order is like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Or to
Right.
describe something as consecutive, you mean to focus on the lack of interruption. So you can't miss more than 3 sequential meetings or any 3 consecutive meetings, which include committee meetings, monthly general board meetings, or executive board meetings. So they understand, for example, you can't just decide, you know what, I'll never go to a committee meeting ever. And I can comply with the bylaws the way they're written now. It's 3 consecutive meetings. Well, I go to every single executive board if I have to, and every single general board meeting. I've never missed 3 consecutive meetings. So that's why we have to, separate that out
But just,
and explain it.
okay.
An easier way to explain that to people. If somebody could come up with an easier, clever way, be my guest.
Okay, just to, because I guess I'm OCD. Executive board meetings are not, are only mandatory for the chairs of the committee, so you can't miss those and also not attend your own committee meeting, so just to make that clear. So someone who's not on the executive board and someone who's not a chair and is on a committee or two, we have some people who are on two committees, and also
If you're not on a committee, you can't be marked absent if you're not on a committee.
right. So I'm saying, but there are people who are members of two committees, let's say, you know.
Yeah, Betty, so my understanding of this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. So if we're gonna read this, because we have to move along, we can't keep
Right, right.
continuing to find a discussion when we're never gonna get through this.
Mhm.
So to move this along, to read, an appointed member may be removed for cause by the borough president's office or by a majority of the appointed members of the board. Cause shall include missing three, and Andrew, help me here, 3 sequential meetings
Correct.
instead of consecutive, correct? So,
Correct.
Carla,
Or
okay, include missing 3
Sequential meetings.
that implies like a combination, you know, executive board, committee meeting, general.
So we
board
should say
meeting.
IE or something like that.
IE.
Three,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so.
For
okay, so
example,
After sequential, parentheses, IE, combination,
right, that can
Um,
go. Yeah.
committee meeting,
Committee meetings and,
meetings with a, put S with an S, because it could be one, there could be just a one meeting, or there can be more than one. So you can put
committee meetings, yeah,
meetings.
and general board meetings. Um,
An executive board.
No,
No.
because not everybody goes to the exec. The exec is not mandatory
Oh,
for
but
everyone.
you can't. If you're not assigned to a committee, you can't be absent. So you can say that because they're not absent at an executive.
One
board
member,
meeting.
a member is not, can go to the executive meeting, but is not
They're
not
not appointed, so they're not part of the attendance as
Right.
far as a forum is
Exactly.
concerned.
exactly. So that's what we're saying, a combination of committee meetings, whether they're a part of 1, 2, or 3, and the general board.
Are you saying, Andrew, that we should include executive board in the event that we have a chair, someone on the executive board who's not attending those meetings?
Yeah.
Huh? I'm sorry.
But it is a committee meeting and.
But it's not
the executive
mandatory.
committee- Yeah, but we
It's only
use the term
mandatory.
committee meetings. It's an executive committee meeting, so,
Exactly.
Right,
So
okay, so it's within committee meetings, okay. fine.
yeah, within committee meetings.
Yeah, okay.
So
Or you could say something like a combination of they're assigned.
Oh, yes.
Of their
There are
assigned
some
committee-
committee meetings, right.
A combination shall include missing 3 sequential meetings of their assigned committees. And,
the general board.
yeah.
Okay, is everybody okay with this?
Mhm, mhm.
yeah, I think that kind
Is
of
this
clarifies.
clear?
May I ask another question? In addition, we're saying maybe remove for cause,
That is the the Bronx Borough President's Office can
right,
do that on their own. They can come back and say something,
for something else. But
Something else.
do we as a board, are we authorized to consider other causes is my question.
no, if the
Okay.
if the BP's office has a cause, they will let us know. It will go to budget personnel, and then it will go through that, and then the information will be given to the rest of the board. Because we
But-
cannot, we don't have control what the BP's office does. If
No,
they're-
I'm talking about if we know other reasons for removal than just missing committee meetings, is my question.
Yeah,
If we, as
sure.
a board, something comes up on with a board member.
Of course, it could be any violation of these bylaws.
Right. Any violation of the city charter, any violation of an ethics code
But
violation.
we're not including that here. I don't see it.
But that's not in this section, but there
Okay.
are,
There is a section that,
Okay, all right, okay. I just don't, I don't want to like beat a dead horse fine, as long as it's somewhere that in addition to missing,
obviously,
we can recommend or we can remove a board member for the missing meetings in addition to other violations or.
but we don't have, that's not what this is dealing with. This is.
Okay.
dealing with ethics.
Okay.
Why-
But when you
why
have,
are
when
we
you,
leave- Why are we leaving out the executive committee? It has to be in there.
this
It
is a
is in
regular,
there.
it's a committee.
Isn't it understood it's a committee?
Meeting,
it's a
Okay,
committee.
okay, so let's,
a different
um,
committee.
the sanitation committee meets, right? I
Yeah,
am not an assigned member of the sanitation committee.
right,
When they do attendance, of course, I mean, the assigned committee people are asked to say their name and their attendance, whether they're
right.
there or not. So of course, if you're not assigned to a committee, you can't be expected, you are not part of the quorum and the attendance. So
Right,
why is
Right.
the executive board on there? Because then somebody would say, well, it's not on there, I don't have to go. I'm a
but you're
committee chair.
assigned,
But
but you're
everyone,
assigned as a chair, you're assigned to it as a
Andrew,
chair.
everyone is assigned to a committee. So if you are the chair of that committee, you know you have to attend exec. That's part of that's part of the breakdown. That's part of the committee breakdown that everyone gets.
That's right, yeah.
So it's no different, and it's a committee. Even if you're just a member and you're not a part of the attendance, it's still you're attending a committee meeting.
Right. And there are votes that are taken at that committee that only people that are members of the committee can vote on. I can attend the parks meeting, right?
Right,
If there's a motion being presented, I can't vote on that motion. I can comment on it, but I can't vote because I'm not a member of that committee. And I don't stop what the committee's doing by me not attending. Me attending is a good thing because I might add something to it, but it doesn't stop the committee from doing its job.
right.
That's
Even
what
though
this is.
your attendance doesn't go on record because
Right.
you are attending a committee.
Right.
And the executive committee it's understood that you as a chair and you're assigned to that, when we get the committee assignments, it clearly states this is the makeup of the executive committee.
Correct.
So. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna fix up.
Okay, so
So
is that,
it'll read, clause shall include missing 3 sequential meetings,
Yeah, we usually,
period, and then we have to close the parentheses after that.
right.
Okay,
now, do we want to put in this section that the district manager will create attendance support reports every 5 months? Do we want to do that?
No.
Hold on.
Or we
I
could-
have another suggestion that I don't know if it'll work. On the minutes of each committee, not the general board meetings, but each committee, and we list the names of those present and the names of any of the absentees.
I know when I had my education committee, the names of absent and present were always on my minute.
Yeah. Right, we used to do that, and sometimes, it may work to wake up people.
Yeah,
They're not there, and it's gonna be recorded, and everybody sees it when the minutes are given out at the general meeting.
and then there's no question about who's,
Yes,
You mean
exactly.
include that on the face of the minutes, Barbara? Like
Yes, on the top of the minutes, after meeting guidelines or even before
Yeah.
attendance, and just list the names. I mean, nobody has more than 7 or 8 people on a committee, so it's not that long to list, or won't take you that long to list anything.
I
But
think
we
I
used to
do
do
that.
that.
I think I do that on my minute.
Yes, all minutes have that.
Oh, minute,
Oh,
yeah.
minutes have it, Barbara.
that's what I'm saying. People are asking, they just gotta read the minutes. It tells you who was in attendance and who wasn't.
Right,
And
Mine-
we
yeah.
had, yeah, we
yeah,
had,
but we send in an attendance sheet and that's it. We
No,
don't put it on the minutes.
I
No,
do,
no,
I do.
Barbara, when the minutes are sent,
Yes,
whether it's at the exec or general, the very top of each committee meetings has the names of those who are part of that committee and checked off that they were in
oh,
attendance.
right, you're right, okay, but.
We do that, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
all right, I'll
So
do
Barbara,
that.
you're just sending in your attendance, and then once we get the attendance from you, when we copy and paste your minutes into the template, we record the attendance that you sent and we plug in whoever was present or absent.
Okay, all right, my error, thank you.
Yes, and even AJ made a comment in the chat room that we do have a video record now, so we can refer them like, hey, they were not present. So when if a question happens, we refer them, look, we have the recordings of all these meetings and you were not in attendance, so.
Well,
That's,
for now, we do have a record. Eventually, we will go in
I know.
person. So this will have a little of a different turning point.
right. But for last year, when people were questioning the 2 board members that were not in attendance, referring to the video record, I mean, it's there. I mean, it's,
Correct.
thank you for reminding us about that, AJ.
I just think that I was very disappointed that at the exec meeting that the 2 motions that had apparently passed the committee there were some people on that committee who didn't, who didn't vote or abstained or voted it down. I just thought it was, disappointing, that's how it was managed. And I just want to make sure that our bylaws are as clear as we possibly can make them, given the
Which
language.
motion was that?
The last motion to the 2 people who were, whose names came up for removal.
Right,
It was a big deal that, that those motions didn't pass when they had already passed the committee, and there were people on that committee who didn't vote on it. I mean, kind of like backpedaled on their vote. It was just, kind of crazy, but I mean, once we straighten this out and make sure we provide as much information to the full board as possible or to the executive committee, I'm hoping that from now on, we can move this along as much as possible. I mean, my goal is that, I hope our goal is to encourage people to attend their committee meetings.
absolutely. We don't really want them to.
Right, we don't want to go through, this is a hassle to go through this removal process. We want people to attend. So my point is, at some point, maybe having attendance and having it looked at, and then having the chair and or the committee reach out to the individual saying, it's almost like a warning, we may have to do this and the other, what's happening, I think it's a good thing for the board chair to do that on a one-on-one to the individual and say, listen, looks like, you've been having some problems coming to meetings, what's happening here? Because otherwise we have to move on, based on our bylaws, do X, Y, and Z. That's my own feeling. I know it's a lot of work, but.
So the question on the table was, are we going to have the GM prepare an attendance report every 5 months?
Or the office, yeah, whatever.
Andrew has his hand up. Andrew?
Well, the GM means the office, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking this over. So getting back to section 4, where we have the parentheses, for example, combination, I think we should say separately or in combination. Separately meaning, again, they could attend every single, if they're on the executive board, every single board meeting, and just decide to not go to any committee meetings. And I think that it would say separately or in combination of their assigned.
That's
So
what's missing.
So it could be back to back to back meetings, meaning a committee meeting, an executive committee meeting, a board meeting, or it could be missing 3 separate general board meetings. They go to all of their executive board meetings, all of their committee meetings, but you know what? For 3 months, they never went to a single general board meeting. Well, they would be in violation of our attendance by saying separately or in combination.
Yeah,
So
it should,
separately
or in, it's missing in after or, just put that. Separately or in combination, okay? All right, so was there any other major change that we needed to make? I think this is, are we all in agreement? Is there anything else that needed clarification?
I don't remember, no.
I think that was it. So are we ready to present this to the executive committee tomorrow and to the full board?
Well, to the executive committee for sure, I guess. We have to take a motion, right, tonight?
Mm-hmm.
I feel, you know, I mean, there's no doubt that someone's gonna nitpick this, as people do.
We're not gonna
but-
redo this. They can vote it up or vote it down. We're
Yeah,
not gonna
fine.
do
I
another.
don't have any problem with, I'm just saying, you know, that's.
No, we know, and we know who they are. And, yeah.
I'm gonna emphasize that this has been taking so much time. It's taking so long. If anyone after getting their copy has any issues, for them to email or contact the office directly, and we can dissect whatever portions they feel that need clarification or need changes, however they want to do it, because we've been at this for way too long.
Exactly.
And it's not just this ad hoc committee, it's the previous. ad hoc committee.
Exactly.
No,
this is-
exactly. This is, the other one never went anywhere. They
Exactly,
thought it
exactly.
didn't go anywhere. So now at least we're gonna try to get the board to pass this and. I
As a
think
matter of
go
process,
ahead.
can we send each board member in advance and in big, bold letters say, we strongly encourage you to read through these bylaws before the vote to be taken on, whatever the executive board, so that all the executive board members will have an opportunity in advance to read it through. So we could say to them that night, you're bringing up all these things and you didn't really read the bylaws.
Well,
And
then the exec is tomorrow. We're not gonna have enough time to go through this and do that. So if we're being realistic about this and doing it that way, then we're looking at April's.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I say, let's get it together. Let's send it to all the board members.
We're sending this and the previous, right? We're sending the.
Correct, yes,
yes.
Okay, all right.
I will attend the executive board meeting tomorrow for any clarification.
Absolutely, yes.
And send it to all the board members. Remind people, because I don't know, people did not know that our bylaws are on the website and they're available to.
Those bylaws will be probably are so outdated that I don't even think they reflect the 29, the ones.
I know, right? I think they're so old, but let's make sure they have the one that the current one and the one that we worked on, so that they can compare, like they'll have a whole month to read them and ask the questions before the executive committee actually takes a formal vote to present it to the public. The public will have an opportunity to hear any changes made, to comment, and let's vote.
Correct.
And that's not gonna, I agree, that is not gonna happen until April,
Yeah.
the earliest.
Tomorrow is a daydream.
Right. Myrna, would it be possible to, in some way, when you list the current bylaws and the new proposed bylaws, to highlight where there are changes,
No,
rather than having them read through everything? That may discourage some people.
Well, we could tell them where the major changes went.
Okay.
Once with the combination of the committee that we are attempting to combine, this clarifying this issue, the replacement, which actually we really didn't make many changes. After all the discussion, we didn't make many changes about what do you do if the chair steps down, what's the process? We just clarified that. But yeah, we can. I think we can.
I mean, that would be great, just to get people to read.
Carla, I'll have to work with you on that.
in looking back, the major things that we did was we clarified language. We
Yes.
took out we took out things that no longer pertain to the bylaws.
Like the treasurer, right?
Exactly. We took out things that are no longer in existence for us. We changed inclusivity of names. Yes, we did that too. So our changes weren't really major. It's just basically making it easier to understand and easy to read for all the board members that are currently on the board and those that are going to be coming in the future.
Right. So, and like I said, one of the main things that we tried to do was try to take out redundancy also. There was
Right.
something that was just too much. It was saying the same thing all over again. And that's one of the reasons why people never read the bylaws, because
Mhm.
it was hard to read. So hopefully we made it a little bit more user-friendly, and we didn't waste our time for 6 months.
Right. Let's bring it to a vote, please, not like last time.
So somebody else has a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I didn't see on here, we used to have language that, or more than 50% of your expected meetings or something like that. In other words, they can't exceed 50% of, I mean, if you added up all of these, somebody would be complying with the rules for attendance and yet have less than 50% attendance. So we should put that in there too.
No,
It used to be in there.
it's on, where is it? It's section
It's
2.
somewhere. It's not on the
under,
screen, so-
Andrew, it's under committees, section 2.
Can that be put up on?
The number of non-board members of any committee must be less than 50% of said committee. Is that what you're referring to?
No, attendance.
No, attendance of committee
In other
members.
words, if you looked at our requirements, somebody could actually not attend half the meetings. And do we want that to be acceptable?
Where do we have that?
I don't know how that,
That used to be in the.
Yeah, I remember it, Andrew, but where is it in the bylaws that we can look at it again?
Are you
you know,
referring to meeting
one.
quorum?
It has nothing to do with quorum, attendance, your actual attendance records.
No, that was removed a long time ago. That was removed.
I thought.
That was removed in 20 when Alex Carmen we were doing this bylaws. That was removed. And hence the
Is that
confusion, hence the confusion as to section 4. And this is what we're clarifying now.
I'm just pointing it out that is this the wishes of this board that there could be a board member who complies with the attendance requirements as we have right now on the screen, and yet miss more than half the board meetings? It's fine with me if that's what we think is okay. I personally don't think it's okay, but if that's what everybody thinks is okay, then we'll go with it. I'm
is
just
there,
pointing it.
yeah, could that, I mean, I guess mathematically that possibly could happen. It'd be very difficult. That would mean that you would miss 3, you would have 3 meetings, then you miss, and then you couple, and then you go back and miss 3 more, and then you miss a couple, and then I don't know if that would even be, I mean, we could add it in, it doesn't hurt, but I don't know how we would say that.
Or missing more than 50% of your meetings.
We shall include missing 3
But no less, okay, shall include missing 3, but no less than 50%? Is that where you're trying to go?
No, I think
You
what
know, whatever
Andrew's
number
saying is that, let's say there's 10 meetings because we only meet during the 10 months of the year. So let's say you have 10 general board meetings that you have to attend, and then you have 10 assigned committee meetings. So that makes 20 meetings. So 50% would mean that you need to attend at least 10 of those meetings.
You would, yeah, unless we want to, I like AJ's recommendation, it says, or you miss this amount of meetings, you're automatically off. That's another thing, because you're essentially not, you're really not functioning as a board member if you're missing more. If you're missing more than 10 meetings, you're essentially not functioning. I mean, and that's why we have leave of absence. That's why we have, you know, somebody that's sick and says, listen, I'm ill, I'm going to be out in the hospital, I'm going to have surgery, and that's a whole different story. But if you're,
It should be meeting numbers change. Somebody might also be a committee chairperson of a committee, and they have to go to executive committee meetings. So they're expected to go to more meetings. So it should be a percentage.
True.
let's say, and how about, we have to find a way to say this. I understand what you're saying, and we should say it.
Missing three
Um,
sequential
It's just,
meetings.
what we
Or,
need to say is assign committee and general board meetings. But at no time should any board member miss more than 50% of any scheduled meetings that they are assigned to. Something like that.
or just say assigned meetings, 50%
Right.
of assigned
Oh.
meetings.
Right.
So put it in after 3 sequential meetings before the parenthesis.
Andrew just put it something in the chat.
Sequential meetings or anything consecutive.
Forget that one. That was a mistake, sorry.
Any 3 sequential, any 3 consecutive meetings in the general meeting, monthly general board meetings or executive meetings. Yeah, we already have that. What we want to say now is,
Clause shall include missing 3 sequential meetings
But no less than 50% of,
or more than
Oh, no.
50% of assigned meetings. Or assigned committee meetings, whatever you want to put in there. And then you leave in parentheses separately or in combination of their assigned committee and general board meetings.
yeah.
How about board members must attend at least half of their committee and general board meetings, period. Committee meaning, of course, executive, so we just like, so they have to attend at least half.
No, I like more than 50% better than half,
Mhm.
but that's okay.
We could say 6, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it means the thing. Missing 3 sequential meetings, or put it in right there,
Or 50% of
of assigned
assigned committee
committee
and general
meeting.
board meetings. There you go. That works.
Okay,
Okay, so that should be it.
all right, and then you have the parentheses. Okay.
so that I would take out there. Separately or in combination of assigned committee meetings and general board, because now you're,
Right.
Yeah.
It's good.
Okay,
That's-
I think that,
combination of assigned committee meetings. No, and then in the second one.
President or by a majority of the appointed members of the board. Clause shall include.
Or in combination,
Yeah, put the in back in.
50% of
combination of
Of
assigned committee
committee
meetings and
meetings
general board
and
meetings.
general board meetings.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah, so leave that highlighted so they know. And I think that we do need to present the separate section to all the board members, including any new board members coming, so they understand there's no, there's no question, like this is not a club, and we're actually doing the community's work, so,
Good point.
Once this is passed, this will be one particular section that will be sent over to all board members as a highlight to keep in mind.
Okay. Any other business? Any other clarification we need on these? Thank you, AJ, for your input. You've been helpful today. Yes. Okay, anything else? Anything other outstanding that we, that the executive committee, like I said, I will be in attendance tomorrow, and I will field any questions.
Just to conclude, it won't be brought to a vote tomorrow night, correct?
No,
I don't
Okay.
think it's gonna be ready for people to
No,
vote.
no, I agree with that. Give them time to read.
Right,
this will be for April.
right.
April, that's
I
fine.
think if we could put it on the agenda, let's just give us maybe 20 minutes, and just so, Yahira and I can highlight the important changes or clarifications that we made,
Good point.
so that the executive committee can have an opportunity to digest it, agree or disagree, and of course, we're going to present it to all the board members, and they'll have a whole month to respond, and then we'll present it to the full community.
Well, we do have the Passover holiday, so
Sure.
I guess we can work on just
When is
specific
oh,
deadline,
the
a
8th?
deadline date, so that we're not, so that the staff is not overburdened with,
Right,
super questions about it. So maybe Carla, maybe you could circle back and see what will be the best date to make it a due date for everyone, so that you guys are not, fielded with 10,000 questions, or maybe the same question over and over.
yeah, we have 3 major holidays, yeah.
True.
Ramadan is also, yeah, Ramadan, Passover, Easter, we got everything going. Yeah,
Welcome to spring.
I know. We just got rid of, we got rid of all the, winter holidays, and now here we go. Ah. And then don't forget Mother's Day in May. Ah. Yeah. Father's Day, Parents' Day.
I think we should schedule a community board picnic somewhere.
That'd
We
be
need an
nice.
event, yes.
I think we should do that. And
We
everybody
need
bring,
an event,
bring
yes.
their special dish. We'll all share. I think that's a great idea.
Right, work on it. That'll be.
I make really good pasta salad. I can make it with chicken or without for the vegans, I make good pasta salad.
Are we ready to vote or do something tonight? No?
No.
Okay.
Well, are we gonna vote to present this to the executive board? Are we gonna do that?
AJ makes a point. Ramadan begins tomorrow night, but I'm not sure that has, we have a couple, no, we don't have anybody in the executive committee that's
That
Muslim.
observes the holiday. No,
Yeah,
not that I know.
I just want to make a note, Victor has joined us, Victor Saldana. Thank you. Just so you know, we just worked on that, what was it? Article what?
Section 4 of Article 3, I believe.
3, yes, 3, section
Article
4.
3, Section 4, just clarification of attendance, because there's been some, I don't know why, but there's been some disagreement on how, somebody is out of compliance with the attendance requirement for the community board. And so we're just tightening that up. You'll see the changes. We want to make sure that general board is, it's not just missing your general board meeting, but miss it's sequential, not just consecutive, of general board meetings and committee meetings or, any combination. In other words, if you missed, you could have attended 3 board meetings, but you missed all your committee meetings, you'd still be in violation. So, and also that we put back into the bylaws that if you've missed more than 50% of your assigned meetings, you're also in violation of the bylaws. Okay? So what we're going to do is present this tomorrow. Yeah, I will be at the executive committee meeting tomorrow to field any questions. And we're not going to be ready to present this to for an actual vote for the executive committee and the full board until we're hoping April. But now we're saying we have all these holidays coming up, so that's going to be that might be tight, but let's hope. Hopefully if not, then it's May. It's done. The point is that it's done, and as long as the executive committee is okay with everything and the full board has had an opportunity to look at all the changes, agree or disagree, make put their own commentary in it, and then we'll be ready to have a hearing on it for the community and take a public vote. And that's the end of that. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn?
Wait, Myrna, I think I think it's better if you do the motion to present this to the executive
Okay.
committee meeting.
Okay, I am making a motion to present the bylaws to the executive committee at the next scheduled meeting, which happens to be tomorrow. And for commentary and questions.
Okay.
And also to present a copy of the changes to the full board, so they will have an opportunity to read and be ready to vote for a possible vote for the normally scheduled April meeting. Do I have a second on that?
I
motion?
second the motion.
Okay, can we have a vote?
Wait,
let's
Andrew has his hand up.
Andrew, go ahead.
I was under the impression you have to give prior notice to the public of any motions to be voted on. And
Right,
we're
so
now at less
so I
than
don't-
24.
So I think the motion is to just briefly present it. But I think the motion needs to be made so you can actually present this either in April or May.
Right now, we're presenting it to the executive committee so
Mhm.
that they can comment. And then the official motion for the actual bylaws will be in April.
Right.
Have to be a separate motion that we're actually going to put it on the agenda for a full vote.
How about this? How about the motion should be for presentation of changes to the bylaws for just commentary to the chair of the committee with the bylaws being presented together with the old version to the board for a possible vote come April or May.
Can we say it like that?
Mhm.
Is that okay, Andrew?
I think the way it sounds good to me, yeah.
Okay, all right. So can I have a second on that motion?
I second it, Barbara.
Okay, so let's call a vote. Myrna Calderon, I say yes. Andrew?
Andrew Leosa supports the motion.
Betty Arce?
Betty Arce supports the motion.
Victor Saldana?
Victor Salanya supports the motion. Apologies for being late.
That's okay. Yeah, you're here. Yahaira Arias?
Barbara was first.
I miss Barbara. Oh, sorry. Barbara,
Barbara Stranza supports the motion.
Yahaira Arias.
Yahaira Arias supports the motion.
Okay, motion carries. So we will present tomorrow and hopefully 20 minutes will be enough to just go over the changes. And thank you, everybody. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Anybody second the motion?
Barbara Stranza seconds the motion.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So.
Everybody